Yeah, I just had a question about Matthew 24:36.
Yeah.
I apologize.
The day hour no one knows?
Yeah, that's the exact one, yeah.
Do you assume that means he's not God?
No, but I have questions regarding it. I'm just wondering how it works. You know, Jesus is God, and he has limited himself
So then that's what you're asking. You just said basically.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Number one, you agree that if this is chapter 24, Matthew doesn't want you to ignore the 23 previous chapters, right?
Correct, yeah.
And Matthew has already set you up that when you come to this passage, that he's already shown you how not to interpret it and how to interpret it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now I'm going to get to the answer, but I'm going to now show you what Matthew already told us before we got here, right?
Sure.
Go to Matthew 1. Let me work you through this. And then we're going to see how not to interpret. I'm going by Matthew. I'm not reading into it. I'm saying, okay, Matthew, you didn't start in chapter 24. You started in chapter 1, and you want me to read chapter 1, chapter 2, and then when I get to Matthew 24, you've prepared me how to interpret this, right?
Sure, yeah, I can see how, yeah.
I mean, obviously, which writer, author, if you write a book and I jump to chapter 8 and then I ignore your 7 previous chapters, would you say, hey, man, you're misrepresenting and mishandling my book, right?
Yes, I'd say it's a gross misinterpretation, yeah, sure.
Let's see how he begins it. Go to Matthew 1, 21. Sure. Watch here. Matthew 1, 21. You want to read it? You can.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, please do.
All right, so she will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins.
Now, the angel told Joseph, call his name Jesus because he's going to do this. What is he going to do?
Save the people from their sins.
His people from their sins. Now, the word Jesus, Yeshua, means Yahweh is salvation.
Okay.
So he's saying, call him Yahweh's salvation because he's coming to save his people from their sins. The angel's telling Joseph. Now, let me show you why this is important in light of the Old Testament. Open up Psalm 130.
If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand?
Now, you understand what that means, right? If God were to call you into judgment for sin, he would destroy everyone, right? Because no one is sinless, right?
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
Okay. That's every creature, right?
Yeah.
If Jesus isn't God, then how can he save anyone? He would need to be saved. That's number 1 right here.
Sure.
Now read verse 4. Verse 4.
But with you, there is forgiveness that you may be feared.
So thank God you're merciful and patient, that you don't want to destroy us, but you're patient because you want to forgive us. Number 1, the angel told Joseph, this baby who's born, he is Yahweh's salvation. He will be saving people from their sin. But if Jesus is not God, you cannot say that of him because right here you're told, if God were to call people into account, no creature would survive. But now watch Psalm 130, 7-8. Same Psalm, Psalm 130, verse 7-8. Who saves people from sin? Read it.
O Israel, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is plentiful redemption. And he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities.
So who alone saves people from sin?
Well, it has to be Jesus, according to these.
But here. No, here.
Oh, God, Lord, the Lord.
But the angel said the baby Jesus will do that. Go back to Matthew 1. How does he do that if he's not God?
Yeah, okay. I see the point you're making very clearly.
And I'll get to Matthew 24, but before you jump, let me make...
Of course, sorry.
So number 1, Matthew already began by telling you that Jesus does something that only God can do. How if he's not God? Number 2, now watch the second part. This is the one that's going to show you he's Yahweh God, but he's not the Father. Read 22, 23.
All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us.
So when the Virgin Mary gave birth to Jesus, that fulfilled that a virgin would give birth to who?
Well, Jesus. The people
No.
Right
there. Give birth to who? He just told you. It fulfills the prophecy. A virgin will give birth to who? It's right there, 23.
A son. Sorry, I'm
23
Jesus.
on the screen. Read it. Look. When the Virgin Mary gave birth to Jesus, she fulfilled the prophecy that said a virgin would give birth to who?
Okay. It has to be God, no?
Oh, so Matthew begins by saying that Jesus is God with us?
I'm not quite sure I'm quite following.
Brother, don't let me hang myself my shoestrings.
Apologies.
Matthew just said,
yes,
Mary the Virgin is fulfilling the prophecy.
Yes.
The prophecy that said the Virgin will give birth to a son. That son, his name is Emmanuel, because it means God with us.
Okay, right. Yeah, apologies. Yeah, I see.
Okay, so when Mary gives birth to Jesus as a virgin, who is Jesus then?
Well, he has to be. Yeah, I'm not contending this point.
Okay, but say it. You didn't say it. Who is he then?
So he has to be God, right?
God with us, right?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah.
So if Matthew began by telling you Jesus is Yahweh God, then however you interpret Matthew 24:36, Matthew does not want you to misinterpret it to deny that Jesus is Yahweh God. He began by telling you he's Yahweh God.
Yeah, I understand that. I can see that point.
So we got that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't have any contentions to that.
All right,
point.
now let's go back to explain. If you got that, now we can explain.
Yeah. So I probably should have said that at the start. I don't contend that he's not God. I'm just struggling.
No, Isaac, to be fair, you said, well, how can he be God if he doesn't know they are? You did say that.
Okay, yeah, sure. I probably did say that.
Now, but we established that, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
Now, we clearly establish that Jesus, whatever he means, cannot mean that he's not God. So then why would he say, nor the Son? Well, Matthew doesn't tell us how to interpret this, meaning Matthew doesn't come out and say, hey, by the way, this is why Jesus said it. He just writes it because he's just recording what Jesus says. So now it's left up to us to try to figure out.
Okay.
There's only one of two ways we can understand this. Because number one, remember, Jesus is not just God, but he's born as a male baby, right?
Correct.
So he's truly human, right?
Yes, two natures.
So I'm going to walk you through this because this is our Christian theology. It's rich and deep. And I'm going to then show you two possibilities. Could Jesus be truly human if he didn't grow?
No, humans have to grow.
Could Jesus be truly human if he didn't eat food?
No, we need food to eat, to sustain ourselves.
Could he be truly human if he wasn't weak and tired?
No, he'd have to be,
Okay. Could he be truly human if he was all-knowing?
No. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now you're getting the puzzle. See? If he's truly human, go ahead, yeah?
It's just, he still does miracles on behalf, in some capacity. So I'm wondering, while you're
changing the subject. Don't go to miracles. Stick here. Don't jump, because I'll jump.
It's not quite a jump.
Yes, you are, because we're talking about knowledge. Knowledge has nothing to do with miracles.
Okay, sure. I can see. Yeah, sure.
All right. But even if you want to go to miracles, I want to show you that the Father does the miracles, Jesus does the miracles, and the Spirit does the miracles because they're one God and they do all things together. It's not either or.
Okay.
But that you're changing some down. You want me to jump with you? I can. Or you want me to deal with this?
Let's continue where we are. I apologize. Let's continue where we are.
So Jesus, if he's truly human, cannot know everything, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, Jesus as a man with a waking consciousness. You have a waking consciousness. So you're awake. You're conscious, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, okay, but you get the point. Now, is it not true, and this is a scientific fact, you also have a deeper subconscious?
Yeah, I assume there is. I'm not an expert in the field, but yeah, I assume there is.
I mean, that's medically true. I mean, this is
sure.
Psychological studies show it. And it's also demonstrated that in your waking consciousness, you don't recall all the knowledge embedded within your subconscious mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now, you understand how complicated that makes us. We have one nature that's limited, finite, temporal.
Yeah.
And in this nature, we have layers of consciousness. So then in one level, I know less than I do on another level, right?
Correct.
So why would you be surprised that if Jesus is man, he would have layers of consciousness? On one level, he knows more than on another level. But then when you add to that he has a divine nature, he becomes all the more complex.
Yeah, sure. So I might be making a massive assumption here, but in my mind, as he does have this, duality, 100% man and also divinity, I would have thought, despite his human form, at some point, he'd still know the hour.
Who told you he doesn't? You're not listening to me. Who told you he doesn't?
Explicitly, no one says that he doesn't.
Okay, so you see, again, you did that false dichotomy. If you're listening, if he has two natures, God and man, that means as a man in his waking consciousness, he wouldn't know everything, right?
Correct. He would not know everything.
And as a man coming to serve the Father, he would only relay and communicate and know in his human mind what the Father wants him to know, right?
Sure.
But because he's God, the same Jesus will show you he does know everything, not either or. Let me show you.
Yeah.
Go to Matthew 11:27.
Okay.
Watch here. See, this is why if you read the Bible in context, not either or, it's both and. Now, that's one interpretation, but I'm going to give you another one.
Sure, okay.
Matthew doesn't tell us how to explain it. We're left to figure it out. Matthew 11:27. Watch here. Watch here. Now, I want you to walk through with me. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. Now, watch. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Now, let's unpack this. Christ is saying he's a kind of person that no one knows intimately and truly and completely except the Father. What is Jesus assuming by saying this?
I'm not sure on the assumption, to be honest. You'd have to walk me through that.
Can you say, no one knows who I am, only God knows and understands me?
Ooh, no, I'm not sure I can.
You can't, because that would be blasphemy.
Yeah, I can't.
What you're actually saying is, look, I'm an incomprehensible being, beyond human comprehension, and requires an infinite mind to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Why would Jesus say that? Look what he said. No one knows the Son except the Father. Who does he think he is?
Well, yeah, he has to. He's claiming, divine nature to be God.
Now, let's go to the second part. Can
Sure.
you as a creature say, no one knows me except God, and no one knows God except me?
No, I can't say that.
Because this assumes that it's reciprocal, meaning
Yeah.
I know God the way he knows me, and God knows me the way I know him, meaning I have the same knowledge that God has of me that I have of him. Can a creature say that?
No, a
Because
creature.
God the Father is an infinite mind, right? Can a creature say, I am the only one who knows him, and I know him the way he knows me?
No, a creature can't. They can't say
But
that.
that's what Jesus said. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son. This is why now you need the Son to reveal God to you, right?
Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah.
What is that a claim of? Is Christ claiming to be omniscient and incomprehensible?
Yes.
But let's take it a step further.
Okay.
Does the Father know every thought that Jesus has?
Yes.
Now, if the Son knows the Father the same way the Father knows the Son, that means the Son knows every thought of the Father, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wouldn't that include the day or an hour? Because that's one of the thoughts in the Father's mind.
Okay. I didn't think of it from that perspective.
Does he?
Makes me tick. Yeah. He has to. Yeah.
So that's the mystery of our faith. It's not either or, it's both and. As God, he knows everything the Father does, but he's meant.
Thank you. I
Welcome
didn't
to the
think of
world.
it. Because I was looking at it from Jesus doesn't know, therefore, how does he not know if he's okay? That makes sense.
Because the problem is we don't read the Bible in context, and we don't see that they're affirming he's both God and man. As man, he has human limitations, but he's still God, and as God, he has all the divine attributes. It's both existing in one person, not either or.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Amen.